Hello everyone, this is Leo from the PC Security channel and you're watching the private evaluation of Malwarebytes EDR. In this video we will be focusing on remediation, going through some of the capabilities it has, and also evaluating its performance in a realistic ransomware attack scenario. To kick things off, we're going to go back to the Malwarebytes Nebula UI. This is where most of the administration happens. As you can see, we've got our endpoint listed here as online. So once you select any particular endpoint, you can go under actions to see what you can do. So we've got the option to scan and report, scan and quarantine, restart the endpoint, isolate the endpoint, check for updates, and so on. Once again, this UI leans very much towards the simplistic side of things. If you want the details of the actions, then you have to go into a different view, which is tasks. So let's say we click on scan and report. A task is now created, and if we go under tasks, we will see that there is a threat scan that's pending right now. There is really no notification on the actual system. As you can see, everything is just as normal. The only way you can tell anything's happening is if you right click on the toolbar icon, it says scan in progress. So you can't launch another scan on the system while this is going on. Even if we click on this, we can't really see the UI from here. So everything is controlled via the web console. If we click on the actual threat scan, it's going to give us some more details as to when it was started, but not a lot of details in terms of the actual progress. So any detected threats will be reported at the end of the scan. Now, if we go into scan history and click on the actual on-demand scan we performed, it's going to show us the detections. We've got all the relevant details here, and if we scroll down to the bottom, we've got ransom.wastedlocker, and we've also got a Trojan under app data. Now, since we selected scan and report, it's not automatically going to remove any of these threats. If we clicked on scan and quarantine, it would have. So the interface is very quiet, can be almost too quiet if you're not used to it, although it does give you any new threats being detected in the home screen. So once again, the UI focuses on not overloading the user with data, which depending on your preference could be a huge benefit or not ideal, because even under detections, there is really no option to take an action unless it is set up to do so automatically. Now let's explore a more interesting situation where you might have an actual threat executing on the system that was not immediately detected by the signatures. In order to emulate that, we have disabled signatures on this particular endpoint, and we're now going to execute a real ransomware, WastedLocker, that was responsible for the massive Garmin incident that cost millions, and we will see what happens on the system. So we'll rename the file to an executable, and then we're just going to go ahead and execute it. Since the signatures are disabled, it is going to be able to successfully run, but we should see some kind of suspicious activity reporting in the cloud console very soon. Now, it's important to keep in mind that suspicious activity monitoring does not come enabled by default, so if you'd like to use these advanced features, you want to go ahead and create a new policy or change the default policy, and under settings, turn on suspicious activity monitoring and also ransomware rollback. Ransomware rollback is going to allow you to restore your files in the unfortunate event that they are encrypted by ransomware. Since this is exactly the situation we're exploring, we have both these options turned on. And now back to our system. As you can see, our data is already encrypted with the extension Garmin Wasted, and we've also got a ransom note here in the info file. If we go ahead and open that with Notepad, you'll be able to see that it says our files are encrypted now. As we return to our web console, as you can see, we've got two new notifications under suspicious activity. So we've got wastedlocker.exe and another one glob.bin. Both of these were found to be suspicious, and if we actually click on these, we can see some details. We can see the actual process graph and everything that's taking place. Let's say you're a user and you're panicking right now because you had a ransomware execute on one of your endpoints. If we don't do anything, this could laterally move throughout our network and infect all our devices. So one of the first things you can do to deal with this is isolate this particular endpoint. Now, it's possible to do that manually, but Malwarebytes gives you the option to do that with a simple click very easily the moment you notice a suspicious activity, and you can even set up a custom message to show when that happens. So we've already got that set up, so I'm just going to say isolate endpoint, and we also have the options to choose whether or not we want to just isolate it from the network or also block process and the desktop and completely lock down the system. In this case, we want to do all of these, so we're going to say yes. And as you can see in the background, our system immediately locks up. And if we try to log back in, it says malware or suspicious application behavior has been detected on this computer and the system has been locked by your company due to suspected ransomware infiltration. Now, this is a massively useful feature if you've got hundreds of endpoints and you've got limited IT resources. It may not be easy to track down where the infection is coming from and go and try to shut that system down. So one of the major advantages here is it allows you to do a comprehensive lockdown directly from the cloud console while you attempt to remediate the situation. Now, of course, with ransomware rollback enabled, we should be able to, in theory, reverse the effects of this threat, and that is something we're going to test in the next video. In summary, I think Malwarebytes does a good job of maintaining the simplicity of scans and quarantines, even when it comes to EDR functions like system isolation. You can go from having a suspicious activity detected, like a ransomware infiltration, to locking down that particular endpoint in essentially 2 clicks. But it is going to be super interesting to see how well we're able to reverse the effects of the ransomware, so make sure you check out the next video in the series. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you'd like to get in touch with us, feel free to do so at thepcsecuritychannel.com or tpsc.tech.